Good evening, this is Eswatini TV News Bulletin at 8, read to you by Notile Sitole alongside Zamanzi Manze. First up, the headlines. The Ministry of Agriculture is pleased with the response of the nation towards the backyard garden project. Criminals have stolen 126,000 emalangeni worth of copper. A 12-year-old girl from Sangwini died after drowning at Nkomanzi River. And now, the news in detail. The Minister for Agriculture, Jabulani Mabuza, says the excitement displayed by communities towards the ongoing backyard garden program is delighting. Mabuza says the program seeks to mitigate the adverse weather conditions, especially drought, to ensure food and nutrition security at household level even.
The Backyard Garden Program, which was officially launched in the Shisolweni region in the month of October by the Minister for Agriculture, Jabulani Mabuza, is continuing reaching out to other constituencies of the country. On Tuesday, the ministry supported the Ngwene constituency with 5,000 seedlings. The Minister, Jabulani Mabuza, says he asks the people of Ngwene to plant and look after their backyard gardens.
Very important program as we launched it some months back. We launched it in the Owo region and we went to Shiselweni, Lubombo and Manzini region. The Backyard Garden Program, it's a program where we are saying each and every homestead in the Kingdom of Eswatini must have a garden. I'm grateful to learn that the Ngwene Ingundla today is distributing the seedlings and people are there at their homesteads and vegetables are all over the Ngwene Ingundla. We are very, very much grateful. We are encouraging homesteads to please make sure that they do have these gardens.
Ngwene Member of Parliament Vulimpompi Nhleko thanked the Ministry of Agriculture for supporting his constituency with the seedlings. Nhleko says the seedlings will be put into good use as the Ngwene community is big on farming.
Lokhu nje lesikubonako le project lena tabasita kakhulu labantu ngoba sebatha ukhona ekseni kunqutha latalene bakhone kupheka bese bathola.
Ngwene community member Bawinile Dladla, who benefited from the program, says she's thankful to the Ministry of Agriculture because as a community, they have been trying to venture into vegetable production, but they have been falling short because of lack of resources and support. Dladla says with this backyard garden program, their wishes have come true.
Ngiyathanda ukubonga kakhulu tikoletekulima nahulumende wakangwane kanye nenkundla utosiphala olusitola letithombo. Vele siyadidzinga letithombo kulamalanga umnotho uwila sikhona kahle kuthenga tithombo sitawusitaka shokuse sitawuphila thina enkweni.
The Minister for Agriculture, Jabulani Mabuza, says the program supports the Ministry of Health in their campaign to encourage the nation to eat balanced meals so that they are safe from diseases, especially the coronavirus. Reporting for Eswatini TV News, Sifiso Nxumalo, it's Muva Shongwe, Ngwene.
Hosia Member of Parliament Mduduzi Mabuza, who is currently charged with 8 counts that include contravening Section 69, subsection 1G of the Police Service Act number 22 of 2018 says the court should dismiss the Crown's application that Mbabane Acting Senior Magistrate Sifiso Vilagati should recuse himself in the matter. Mabuza said this when appearing at the Mbabane Magistrate Court on Tuesday morning.
When the case involving Hosia Member of Parliament Mduduzi Mabuza resumed on Tuesday, the Crown was expected to give reasons why it wants Mbabane Senior Acting Magistrate Sifiso Vilagati to recuse himself on this matter. Mabuza's representative in the matter, Advocate Mduduzi Mabila, says Vilagati should dismiss the application by the Crown because it failed to file the application on time. He says the Crown was supposed to file on November 30th, but it ended up filing on December 3. Mabuza also prayed that the court should also dismiss the Crown's condonation application to have the recusal application heard. Mabila says the Crown did not give reasons why it failed to file on time. Furthermore, Mabila says the Crown also failed to demonstrate prospects of success in its condonation application regarding the recusal application. The Crown is represented by Sibusiso Gama, Mbutfo Mbingo, as well as Lomakhosi Dlamini. Gama concurred with Mabila that the Crown did not file on time. He blamed technical glitches for the failure. Despite Gama pleaded with the court to consider the application despite Mabila's submissions, Gama asserted that the two parties discussed the delay and the respondent was okay with it. Mabila vehemently disputed Gama's assertion, saying only the court has power to okay the delay. After listening to the submissions by both the Crown and Mabila, Acting Senior Magistrate Vilagati says he will make a ruling on the condonation application on December 15. Members of Parliament, Mabuza's relatives, friends, as well as Hosea constituency residents fill the court to the brim. Due to COVID-19 regulations, some of them remain outside court. For Eswatini TV News, Fortune Dlangamandla, Mbabane.
The Ministry of Labour and Social Security, in collaboration with the Ministry of Education, met with high school principals from the Lubombo region to discuss pupils' aptitude tests. The meeting was held at Zitegi.
The Senior Measurement Officer under the Ministry of Labour and Social Security, Tamsile Hlope, says the meeting with the Lubombo region high school principals is a sensitization workshop of aptitude test and self-directed self-test as a way of allowing pupils to early identify their talent.
We mustn't look at our schools and ourselves and say we want our school to shine at the expense of the children, but we are saying let us look at the children's talent and tie them with the subjects that they can do well after having identified their talents. So all the teachers are here that we can just sensitize them. And another thing, this year 2020, we are introducing a new tool which is called Career Quest. A Career Quest is a tool that explores the children early in life on their careers in Form 1, so that when they choose subjects in Form 1, they choose subjects that are relevant to their career option.
Thompson Bembe, Career Guidance Officer in the Lubombo region, says pupils' talents should at least allow them to have 3 career opportunities.
It enables children to choose subject according to their ability. SDS self-directed search also help them to choose careers after completing Form 5, looking at their results and the self-directed results.
Bembe emphasized on the importance of knowing your talent as a student. Reporting for Eswatini TV News is Tembeli Tlemakuchwa with Temba Shabangu at Stegi.
And criminals stole 126,000 emalangeni worth of copper at Dwaleni Niengonini in Matapa. This report was confirmed by police spokesperson Pindile Vilagati in an interview with this media house.
The copper was stolen on the early hours of Saturday morning when Eswatini TV journalists visited the crime scene on Tuesday. It was noted that at least over 100 meters of the copper was stolen. Chief Police Information Officer Superintendent Pindile Vilagati says copper theft was rife countrywide. She says investigation to the Edwaleni copper theft were underway.
We appeal to the nation to assist us as police in apprehending and all these people who steal copper, because we are aware that they sell this copper to certain persons and they keep the copper whereby other people live. Presently, we have one case that has been reported in Matapa police station whereby copper worth 126,000 emalangeni was stolen, and we as police never sleep until we apprehend the people who did this wrongful act. And we do appeal to the nation to give us information that can assist in the investigation by calling 999 or 409 or contacting the nearest police station for any information. Eswatini
TV reporters established that this is not the first time that copper is stolen at Edwaleni, as there were such cases in previous years. An Eswatini post office and telecommunications company deployed security guards. For TV News, Fortune Dlangamandla, Edwaleni.
Stockpiles have been encouraged to avoid handling large sums of money this festive, but rather use bank transfers and electronic payment systems. This is advice given by Mbuso Gamete, who is the head of communications or rather, the head of Consumer and Stakeholder Affairs at the Financial Services Regulatory Authority.
Many people in Eswatini enjoy the convenience of saving money in savings groups commonly known as Stockpiles, despite the glaring loopholes in security of funds deposited in such informal arrangements. Stockpiles undoubtedly come in handy for those saving money for Christmas shopping and other festivities in December, as cash and groceries is traditionally shared by members of Stockpiles in December. However, for other savings groups have often turned out to be a true nightmare because due to the lack of security, money is easily stolen, sometimes by the very Stockpile members, while other Stockpiles are robbed of cash and groceries during distribution processes. It is against this backdrop that the head of Consumer and Stakeholder Affairs at the Financial Services Regulatory Authority, Mbuso Gamete, has advised those saving their money to avoid handling cash.
Members of Stockpile must make sure that their Stockpiles are operated from a bank account, and the people, they actually pay their money into the bank account instead of handling cash, because that's where the problem starts. When there is cash, then the people will be tempted to misuse that money.
During the launch of this year's anti-crime festive season campaign, National Commissioner of Police William Dlamini urged members of the public to involve police in every stage of handling and distributing money. He says station commanders countrywide have already been sensitized of the need for this service by Stockpiles. Stockpile members have been advised to make a point of being physically present during food distribution processes and cash distribution processes, or to at least nominate someone to represent them. For Eswatini TV News, Hlengiwe Ndlovu with Patizwe Msibi in Mbabane.
Women Unlimited offered women a platform to engage in a virtual dialogue on gender balance. This engagement was encouraged by the 16 Days of Activism initiative.
Eswatini also recognizes the 16 Days of Activism aimed at ending gender-based violence, particularly because GBV cases among women and children are on the rise. This Zoom dialogue was titled Unmasking the Abuser. The panelists were Welile Masuku and SAFAID's National Director Mandisa Zwane Machakata, who says although emotional abuse is less talked about, it has a huge impact on the victim to an extent where they have suicidal thoughts because they bottle their emotions.
Still abuse, and it needs to end. And until we stop even the small, what we regard as smaller incidents of abuse, which later lead to the bigger incidences, because even though somebody, maybe they don't beat you, emotional abuse leads to depression. It can even lead to thoughts of suicide and all of that. That is just as detrimental as physically beating you, if not worse, because recovering from emotional abuse is more difficult, because also as a society of Black people, we're not used to therapy. So even if I can feel that I'm shrinking into a hole and I'm sinking into this hole, I don't like who I am, I don't like anything about myself, and I'm losing my confidence, more likely than not, we're not going to get up and go and get help.
Another panelist, Welile Masuku, says if the abuse has been going on for a while, the victims end up believing they are never right but always wrong. She says it is very difficult for a victim to heal without getting any help from professionals. Therefore, it's crucial for a person to seek assistance if they feel they are in an abusive relationship.
I must do absolutely everything not to upset this person without taking the time to actually realize that, what, it is not my problem. He's the one with the problem. So there's a lot of that. And I just find that a lot of women are slowly shrinking into this little, I'm round, but I must fit into this box because, this is the person that I found, and they don't accept who you are. And then they change who you are. They forcefully want to change who you are because they have, their own image of what this woman should be. And then this abused then takes the responsibility to be this person. And every time you get either beaten up or emotionally abused, psychologically abused, you always find a way to excuse the behavior and look at yourself and see how you have contributed to being treated that way.
Participants also engaged on the dialogue and thanked the panelists for this initiative. Reporting, I'm Lungulele Makakula, pictures sourced from Facebook.
A 12-year-old girl has died after drowning in Ngomazi River and Sangwini area in the Hoho region while swimming with her peers. The incident happened on Monday, and the body of the deceased was retrieved by police scuba divers on Tuesday after a long search for her body alongside Sangwini residents.
The gruesome incident is reported to have happened on Monday this week when the 12-year-old Baphelele Dlamini, who was accompanied by her friends, went to collect firewood near the Ngomazi River. Due to the heat, the children decided to go for a cooling session in the river. Baphelele is said to have drowned, and efforts of her friends to assist her were futile. Her friends decided to go back home to report the matter, and a search for her body by residents and the police began.
The
father of the deceased, Mapegeza Antamini, says he received a call from an unknown cell phone number informing him that her daughter Baphelele has drowned at Ngomazi River, and he then informed Pittsburgh police and residents about the incident, and the search began. While police scuba divers and residents continue searching for Baphelele at Ngomazi River on Tuesday this week, her body was then discovered trapped underneath the rocks in the river. Pittsburgh constituency headman Lucky Matsebula says they are still devastated about the drowning of the young girl. Matsebula further says this is the second incident happening in the area, and the previous one was a male and he was also found dead. The body of the deceased Baphelele Dlamini was then examined by the police, fire and emergency personnel and relatives before she was taken to the morgue. Royal Eswatini Police Chief Information and Communications Officer Superintendent Pindilev Lagati confirmed the incident, and she sent her condolences to the relatives of the deceased and also thanked them for assisting the police to find the deceased young girl. For Eswatini TV News, Zodwa Dlamini and Muzum Konda at Sangwini in the whole region.
The TV License Consortium has praised members of the public for continuing to pay for their TV license despite the country's ailing economy.
TV license collection was started in 2017. TV License Consortium was also appointed to ensure that the TV license collection project is done accordingly and timelessly. TV License Project Manager Modikai Donga thanked Eswatini for being loyal in paying the TV license fee, and also appealed to those who are still lagging behind to do so to avoid being prosecuted.
We've managed to put in place systems with which we can, manage television license fee payments. We've also managed to score quite a number of milestones. Which milestones I'll spell out hereunder. But what maybe I may hasten to mention is that when we started our operations, we started from a zero database, so we had to create a database. At the same time, we had to identify who the defaulters of television license fee were, and that identification process again was starting from a zero database. So we had to go out there and fish them out, check how they check their payment history, and then determine how much they are owing in as far as television license fee is concerned. I may mention that we've managed to put in place a system, which system allows one to pay for his television license, and which system allows us as an office to monitor and manage one's television license fee payments.
Donga further encouraged Eswatini to make sure that they pay their TV license fees before the deadline, which is the 31st of December. He further urged those that are still not paying their TV license fees due to financial constraints to come to the TV License Consortium offices instead of shying away from them, because such will lead them to being prosecuted. For Eswatini TV News, Zoto Adlamini and Fortune Dlangamandla in Mbabane.
Mbabane residents under Kwaluseni constituency are faced with serious water shortage challenges as taps reportedly run dry for days in this area. That's according to the water committee chairperson, Dumsansi Melane.
The biggest source of water supply for most residents, schools and businesses at Mbabane area under Kwaluseni constituency is a piped water system provided by the Rural Water Supply Department in the Ministry of Natural Resources and Energy. However, despite the community of Mbabane having access to clean water, the big challenge lies in the inconsistencies in supply, as residents often go without water for days. Chairperson of the area's water committee, Dumsani Simelane, says so serious are the inconsistencies in water supply at Mbabane that when the taps run dry, some people are forced to draw water from nearby rivers and streams, which are unfortunately polluted with plastics and other forms of litter. Simelane says some people try to improvise by keeping buckets of extra water, but even then, this is never a sustainable solution. Kwaluseni constituency headman Jabulani Ngambule says the constituency is exploring several ways of ensuring stable water supply. He says one of the options they are considering is roping in the Eswatini Water Services Corporation to be the official water provider at Mbabane instead of the community heavily depending on the Rural Water Department. Mbabane is one of Kwaluseni constituency's densely populated areas, hence clean water supply is a constant need. For Eswatini TV News, Hlengiwe Ndlovu with Linton Gule at Mbabane.
Good evening once again. Now we take a look at our sports news. The Eswatini national under-20 team lost to Botswana by 1-0 in the COSAFA Cup. Eswatini will now await results in other groups to see if they're going to qualify for the semi-finals as the second-placed best team. The tournament is currently underway in Port Elizabeth, South Africa.
In a game where the national under-20 team had to win or get a draw to qualify as group winners in the COSAFA under-20 tournament, they played Botswana, who didn't have much chances of going through after they were defeated by Angola by 4-0. Botswana started the game better than Eswatini. It was no surprise when they took the lead before halftime. In the second half, Eswatini was the better team with scoring chances created, but they couldn't convert them, and the game concluded with Botswana winning by 1-0. Eswatini head coach Velekaya Mthethwa says the game was difficult.
A tough game. I think my boys were in that state when mentally they thought it was going to be easy. But then when we made that mistake and we got punished, it was a tough battle coming back. It's a tough one, especially when we had our destiny in our own hands, but we couldn't take that chance. Now it's the waiting game.
Results means Angola will go through as group winners after scoring 4 goals, and Botswana are out of the competition. Eswatini will now wait for the results from Group A and B to see if they are able to go through as the second best finisher. Mozambique has qualified as group winners in Group A, knocking South Africa out of the competition. The full qualifiers will be concluded on Wednesday after the matches in Group B are played, where Eswatini will know if they are to qualify as the second best placed team. Reporting for Eswatini TV Sports News, I am Patiso Msivi, and pictures are sourced from COSAFA TV.
That's all we had for tonight. Before we conclude, let's have a relook at our top stories. The Ministry of Agriculture is pleased with the response of the nation towards the backyard garden project. Criminals have stolen 126,000 emalangeni worth of copper. A 12-year-old girl from Sangweni died tragically after drowning at Nkomanzi River. Moving on, here's our COVID-19 statistical report from the Ministry of Health. The country has recorded one COVID-19 fatality over the past 24 hours, bringing the number of COVID-19 fatalities to 24. 34 people have tested positive for COVID-19 today in the kingdom, and currently there are 268 COVID-19 active cases. I leave you now with the weather focus from me and the team here at Eswatini TV. Thank you for watching. Good evening.
Everywhere you go, MTN.